Slaptail Squad, assemble.
Hey there, listeners. This is the Beef Man, and if you're listening to this, you remember the great Slaptail Nation, and this is the Slaptail Squad. With me, your guest, your host, the master of the universe, the creator of all things great and small. Great, like, I don't know, great like what? Great like the amount of people that have chlamydia in this country.
Nasty.
Small, like the amount of discharge you'll experience with chlamydia. So much so that you might not even know that you're infected. So get checked if you're sexually promiscuous. And with me is my number 2, the Ronz.
Hey, how's it going, Beef Man?
You're looking pretty snazzy in that beanie, Ronz. I actually like that look. You look like, I'm going to say it, because you're kind of blurry. Wait for it. This is going to be a huge compliment. You kind of look like Sean Connery in The Rock.
Well, that's an old movie.
What the fuck, dude? I just told you
Compliment. You didn't even say thank you for the compliment. I mean, probably lots of people like Sean Connery. I mean, I know lots of people like Sean Connery.
I fucking love Sean Connery. And I just told you, you look like Sean Connery in a badass movie, The Rock. With Nicolas Cage. Oh.
Yeah. That was
Who
really
I also love. I can't wait for this next Nick Cage movie to come out where I think it's called Nicolas Cage or Nick Cage or something. I can't wait. I just can't fucking wait. I love Nicolas Cage. I want 24 hours of Nicolas Cage. I think I can do it. I think I could watch it.
You could actually watch a couple of his movies like that. Yeah. I think he was okay in Ghost Rider. Could have been a lot better.
I think that was writing. Ronz. But you know what? Con Air. That's a favorite of mine.
I like that movie.
I love Nicolas Cage.
I love it when he doesn't have a whole lot of dialogue. When he doesn't have a whole lot of dialogue and the
So what you're saying is you just like to stare at him? You gotta...
Well, no. I mean, there are some great actors out there that, some that don't have a lot of dialogue in the movie, and the movie speaks for itself.
You're right. If the movie's good and there's good action, I'm a big action movie fan. So yeah, if it's good, absolutely. Hey, you know what movie? We should probably introduce the Swan though.
Okay.
And also with us is the lovely Swan. The lighting is doing you some justice this morning, Swan, in that little shiny room of yours. Aww. Say hello, Swan.
You said I look cute today. Thanks. Hello, Swan.
You look great.
I literally just said the lighting's doing
so basically, you look like a hideous beast usually, but it's looking a little better with the lighting. Either the lighting like darkening, like the titty bar.
No, first of all, lighting is important. It really is. So if we ever do a live stream, which I think we should do, we're all going to have lighting. We all need those little ring lights or whatever. It is important. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I do agree that the lighting looks pretty good right now. It's like the perfect outside influence from the sun there. But my eyebrows is looking a little crazy. My eyebrows are crazy. Do you want to see them? Look at them. Ooh, no, they're a little rough. Great. No, they don't. They're looking rough.
They look like two caterpillars fighting each other or something?
Basically, that's it.
I would like to know. I do really want to know, though. If someone said that I reminded them of Sean Connery, I would be stoked. But apparently not with the Ronz.
Yeah.
No. It's I just got off of work. I'm just kind of
He's just tired. He's just tired. Yeah. My high school band teacher looked like Sean Connery. Everybody thought that was pretty badass. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say this,
called out for it.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's before my time. Ronz would probably be a little fella if he has any memories of Sean Connery as James Bond. See, I don't remember.
I know. I've watched a few of him as James Bond.
No, I mean, but do you remember him? Was that your James Bond? Is that who you typically really remember? See, I remember Roger Moore. He was James Bond when I was a little guy.
No, I remember Pierce Brosnan as James Bond.
Right, so I'm saying as you remember...
Go. Who's the new guy?
Ronz,
the new James Bond?
Daniel Craig.
Yeah, I like
Daniel Craig.
Too.
Yeah, I like it, but he's done. I think this is his last one. Anyway, Ron, I don't know why this one just keeps interrupting the train of thought here.
That's what I do.
So who was your... Because I was talking about something that I was making a point about. Ronz, who is your James Bond? Is that who you remember, Roger Moore, or do you remember it being Sean Connery? Or somebody else?
I think, in my personal opinion, I watched all three of them.
Yeah, but which one was your childhood one?
There's
there's more than that, but I think I really didn't watch whoever acted as James Bond. I just watched it for the gadgets because they had the best gadgets in the
world. I just watch it for behind the scenes and for the
No. I love the cars. I love their gadgets. Right, the acting was great.
But the question is when you think
he literally just can't answer a question.
No,
he literally just can't answer.
No. When we say, "Hey, Ronz, who's James Bond?"
James Bond, right?
Go.
Good point.
What is
Ian Fleming's character? I think one of my favorite movies has very little dialogue in it. It's The Professional.
Yeah. Oh man,
it's an awesome movie.
So good. What is his name?
Jean Reno, I think it is.
Oh, I love him so much. And of course, a young Natalie Portman. They sexualized her a bit too much, though. That's a little gross.
But Gary Oldman plays the villain.
Oh, Gary Oldman's such a good villain. Such a good villain. Such a good bad guy. He's just so versatile. You can tell. I'm assuming Gary Oldman was a theater actor also, and that's probably why he's so good. I can't back that up. I can't back that up. I don't really know. Anyway, my whole point was, I remember Roger. If you say James Bond to me, Roger Moore pops into my head. So I don't remember Sean Connery as James Bond. I saw him in James Bond movies. I just remember Sean Connery from every fucking thing else. Yeah. And my Sean Connery always had like a beard. He always had some little, so.
Yeah, he had some sort of facial hair like in the Highlander.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Highlander 2. Let's not bring that one up. But.
And he was in a movie. I don't think it was called Dragonheart, but he did the voiceover for the dragon.
Yeah, wasn't it? It was something Heart, wasn't it? It wasn't a Dragonheart?
It might have been.
Yeah. I am the last one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Good movie. You know what else is a good movie? I don't know if you saw it, but he played Robin Hood a billion years ago also. That was a really good movie. And in the end, him and the Sheriff of Nottingham duked it out in a battlefield at the end. And I think they killed each other. But then later on in Robin Hood, he played Richard the Lionheart. So there you go. Full circle. Came right back around. And if you remember in that movie, what's his name? The star. What's his name? Help me out here. Dances with Wolves. Wolves.
Kevin Costner.
Yeah. Funny thing, if you ever watch Robin Hood, also a great movie. I actually really like that movie. But the really funny thing is Kevin Costner, about the first 15 minutes, has some sort of a British accent, and then it's completely gone. It's gone the whole rest of the movie. But that was the first real taste. That was the first real taste of he who would become the greatest voice of all time and the coolest dude, Morgan Freeman.
I also like on Robin Hood. On Robin Hood, though, I did like Mel Brooks' take on it. Robin Hood Men in Tights, because I like that. He's like, and he made fun of Kevin Costner. He's like, because he goes, unlike the other Robin Hood, I have an English accent. That's
a cute
so
movie.
Hilarious.
Go ahead.
Waiting for.
No, because I'm going to change the subject. So go ahead on yours.
Yeah, because you're going to say, can I get my last comment on before you
go
change
ahead.
the subject?
Yeah.
Yes. My last comment on that is it has also the actor in it who's in one of the greatest movies of all time, the leading man, who's also the leading man in The Princess Bride. Greatest movie. One of the greatest movies of all time. If you haven't seen The Princess Bride, guess what? You should watch it. You should watch it. Your children should watch it. You should love it. It stands the test of time. It's the coolest. It is the coolest. And now go ahead.
Inconceivable.
So I was going to say, when I think of Sean Connery,
I do not think you know what that word means.
I don't know what because I was talking and I didn't hear your word.
Don't worry about it. But continue by Sean Connery.
I said, when I think of Sean Connery, I think of him as Indiana Jones's dad.
Oh. Yeah.
Also a great character. He plays that well.
Yeah, I like him in that. So anyway, that's all I had to say about Sean Connery. I like him. Too bad he's dead.
The dog Indiana.
Yes.
How do you know she was a nutty? She spoke German in her sleep. I thought that was great.
Henry Jones Jr. Anyway. So that was a long-winded conversation about how Ron should take a compliment when someone says you look like Sean Connery.
Sean Connery, yeah.
Yeah. So from now on,
yeah.
From now on, take your compliments.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Who do you want someone to say that you look like, Swan?
I don't know. I look like myself. I don't know.
An Easter ham?
Yeah, basically.
An Easter ham?
Mm-hmm.
No.
A potato.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A potato.
Yeah. I don't know. Who do I look like? My one patient always said I look like that girl from Saturday Night Live. And I'm like, that's not even funny because she's like annoying.
Which one?
The one
Tina Fey?
No, not Tina Fey. The other one that's like,
Molly Shannon.
Yeah, her. I'm like, I don't even think I look like her.
First of all, no, you don't. First of all, no, you don't. And second of all, go ahead and put your hands under your armpits.
And then I smell them. When I get nervous, I put my hands in my armpits and then I smell them. Yeah. I'm like, I don't look anything like her. But
Superstar.
Anyway.
Yeah. That's a pretty funny movie. That's Will Ferrell trying to be super cool in that movie. Like he's the popular guy. That's pretty funny. Anyway, all right. Well, we had something planned, but I don't know if we're gonna talk about it. But anyway, Ronz, why don't you tell us about the car dilemma?
Oh, well, my beloved.
You can give us the long version. You can start at the beginning, or you can start out with your whatever.
Well,
Just feel free.
What we were going to do.
This is audio, but for the audience, Ronz immediately held his head,
like face palm.
Yeah. So, what we were going to do is we were going to go car shopping in June, and for RJ's 21st birthday, we were going to give him our Saturn. Right? He wants to work on it. It needs a little upkeep to it, but nothing that we couldn't handle, nothing that he couldn't handle, right? He wants on him, and all of a sudden it blew a rod, and we were driving it as much as we could, just short trips, without the engine getting too overworked, and it just got louder. The knock got louder, so
it blew a rod. It blew a rod, and you kept driving it. You're like, fuck it.
Yeah. Well.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're like the engine shot. In one respect. Well, in one respect, the engine's gone. There's nothing you can do. So I guess
that's not necessarily true.
You might as well drive it.
You can still replace that one part. It'll be good. There's a great big good chance that that's all that's needed to be done. But of course, the more you use the engine, of course, the more you run the risk of damaging the engine even further. But at this point, we had no choice. We had to get to point A and point B. So we formulated a plan real quick that was going to take place in June, regardless of whether the engine was going to go or not. And we went on to Carrie found Little Powdered Donut found a vehicle that she liked. I arranged it with a friend of mine to have her go out there, look at the car. I said, take X amount of cash with you, put a down payment on it. If you really like it, it's yours. No questions asked. Sign all the paperwork. That's what you want. So she did that, and she fell in love with it. She's like, great. I'm like, okay, how soon can we get the cars? This like, I'm finishing up the paperwork now. I'll be driving it home tonight. So we made sure that was happening. She drove it home that night. All of a sudden, I said, what's that light doing on? And it was a tire pressure gauge light. And she goes, they said, don't worry about that. It's just something's wrong. That's okay. Like, all right. I didn't know anything about it, right? And I'm
okay. So pause.
I'm gonna
have to pause.
Pause.
No, we have to pause. We have to pause. So during this conversation, we're gonna have to pause you. Don't forget to train your thought. It was just for us to answer questions. So this means that at some point while she was doing the test drive, the light came on, or the light was on as soon as she turned the car on. And she thought that was fine. That was okay with her. She's like, it's no big. Now, was this? Did you buy it? Did you buy this from a dealership?
We bought it from a used dealership.
So you bought it from a dealership. So you still bought it from a dealership, no matter what. You bought it from.
Yeah. Okay.
So we all know the used car type person, right? We've all grown up with that used car dealer mentality, right? So if there I am playing Ronz. If you get into a car at a used car dealership and the light turns on and they have some excuse, I personally don't think that's okay. I went and said, when we bought the Volt, we went and drove another Volt, and we drove it. I'm like, this thing makes noise. And I asked Swan, I'm like, doesn't it make noise? And she's like, yeah. And we told the guy at the dealership, I'm like, no, we're not interested. It makes noise. And he said this. This is what he said. Oh, yeah, it does that for like the first 30 or 40 miles, but you'll notice that goes away. And that's normal for all Volts.
I'm like, I don't
I'm like,
think so.
no, it's really not. It's really not. So there was that used car salesman excuse. I'm like, nope, see you later, dude. So she thought it was okay to turn the light on. She was okay with their, oh, that's fine. It's not a big deal. Just got to be like a computer. Got to be a computer reset, probably. But yet they can do computer reset. Why didn't they? This means, you know what this means, Ronz? They reset that light already. They'd already reset it, but the light keeps coming on. So it's not just a
I'm not
reset
too
light
much
type thing.
I'm not too sure about that. I'll say you're probably right. Thing is, if I would have gone with Carrie, that car probably would have never got bought because I'm an asshole.
That's not being an asshole. Why don't you tell us why you wouldn't have bought it? Why?
Well, because I wanted a CJ5, CJ7, a Jeep Wrangler. Right?
Yeah, it's not your car. You can get whatever you want. I thought this was going to be Carrie's car. I thought this was Carrie's car.
Yeah, for the time being, it is. So
you wanted an old ass CJ5 or CJ7?
Oh, damn straight I do.
You're out of luck buying one of those now, dude. You're going to pay way too much money to get one of those.
I know. I
mean, I sold mine for $1,000 20 some years ago, and I couldn't get one now, probably for less than $5.
I agree.
And a piece of shit.
Oh.
Yeah, so you wanted to get something that had 11 miles to the gallon. She was responsible and decided that she wanted to get something that was economical.
I couldn't agree more exactly with that statement as well.
Yeah, but that's fine. But you know what? You can always buy your own CJ.
So
I could.
You know, that's the thing. So you would have still bought it even with that light popping on and the salesperson's excuses. You still would have bought it?
I would have probably said, let's wait, but keep in mind we're kind of over a barrel because are you over in a barrel to spend thousands of dollars, or are you over in a barrel to ask your friends to give you rides and or rent a car? Which one is costing you less? Which one? Okay, now you mentioned that when we
if my car wouldn't have died, honestly, if my car wouldn't have died, Ronz, I was going to let you borrow my car because I appreciate it because I work from home. We right now we're living with one car and doing just fine. If mine wouldn't have died, you could have totally used it.
I totally appreciate that. But what happened was we did actually call out to rent a car. Also, you can't rent a car on the fucking weekend. You can't.
Also, by the way, it's easy for me to say that now that my car is not working because I can make that offer. But
yeah.
I appreciate
I can look like a hero, but I could be totally fucking lying. But
no, you would have let him borrow your car.
No, I appreciate it.
But so let's pretend like the light came on the day that you got it. Do you know what I would have did with that shit? I'd have taken that shit right back and said...
And that's exactly what she did.
Yeah, but give me my money back. Because you have... Whenever you make a major purchase, you have like a freaking 48, 72 hours, something like that, to say, give me my money back. This deal is no. I'd have been like, peace, fix that shit, and I might continue to buy it. Or, nope, I don't want it. I'm going to find something else. I'd have been done with that car right then.
And I totally would have done monkey grabs plums.
Yeah.
Anyway, we try to rent a car for a week. You can't. Not on the weekend. Nothing's open because of COVID. Now, I understand the pandemic and I understand it's a service industry, but we were so fucked that we couldn't get a vehicle to rent. We had the money. Obviously, I'm working. I got a decent job now. So we just couldn't rent a vehicle. No, and then, of course, when we thought about, well, what if we took the Saturn to a dealership to get it fixed? It'll be about $2,000 or $3,000. All right.
Yeah, well, that's because, for one thing, you've got a Saturn, which is not a common vehicle. It wasn't even a common vehicle when it was.
Well, they're pretty common in Kalamazoo. They're actually pretty common here because we did have a dealership. However, you're right about it's a car that's kind of outdated, right? So
yeah, it's kind of hard to get. Sometimes it's hard to get parts. You're lucky that it's owned by a large manufacturer. But even like mine, where mine decided to take a crap. I can't even get mine in until what? Not even next week. It's the 26th. The week after. I can't even get mine in because it's an electric vehicle, and there's only Battle Creek only has 2 technicians, and one of them retired. So there's only one technician in Battle Creek, and I'm not going to Kalamazoo because they couldn't get me until February.
Wow, I thought we were screwed. So we call the dealership. They say, well, we can get you in. And she goes, do you have any vehicles still, loan? And this is what annoyed me about this part, right? I won't mention the dealership that we actually called for the Saturn. They said, no, we sold all our vehicles, right? That are our loaner vehicles. I'm like, first of all, you have a used dealership lot. You can't take a couple out of fucking commission and make them your loaner cars.
Probably not, because they know they're selling them. They're going like hotcakes.
Yeah.
I agree, but
I mean,
you should
how
have
many,
at least
how
one
many
or
people
two.
how many people have older cars that dealerships are actually sending them mailers trying to get them to sell their car?
Yeah, I could
The
sell
boys
my
had-
Jeep
the
for
boys
a
had-
lot.
The boys had one. So Swan can sell hers. I haven't had any for mine, thankfully, because I'm like, well, I'm not selling my Volt. But
However, but you think you'd have one or two, just whatever. How many dealerships have dealership plates and say, okay, I'm going to take home this car for the night?
okay, well, this is what I was going to suggest to you before
Please
when
do.
you said you were over a barrel. I would have went and test drove brand new cars and said, you know what? Can I take this home for the night?
Yep.
Now that's clever. I didn't think that far ahead.
People do it.
Yeah.
People do that shit.
And they would have let you do it too. Yep. I want my wife to drive it, and I want to make sure, it's good for the night. Take it back the next day, go to a different dealer and do it again.
That is awesome. I didn't think that far ahead.
See, the problem is
Now everyone's going to do that, and it's going to be not allowed because we just gave everybody that idea.
That's not what I was going to say.
No.
What I was going to say is that if you play by the rules too much, which I tend to play by the rules way too much, and everybody else gets over and I don't. But that
Yeah,
is something
no, I
that
agree.
that is something that I would actually do. I actually would do that, because especially if you have to go to like a nice car dealership. You can't go to a shit car dealership. You got to go to a nice one. You got to go to an actual car dealership and do that.
Yeah.
See, I remember many years ago, my older brother went, and he was a young man, and this was when he was an electrician. He was an apprentice and had just got a decent job and was making really good money back then, and had a bit of a spending problem. But he took home a Ford Bronco 2 for days.
Whoa.
And then didn't buy
Like,
it. Like, nope, I don't want
And
it.
didn't buy it. Yeah, then he didn't buy it. He's like, eh. He bought something equally expensive. I can't remember what it was, but he decided not to buy that. But he had it for days.
Anyway, as it goes, that we couldn't get a car for the weekend. We had to drive the car to get Carrie to work and get home, and we had to drive me to work, and then RJ was going to come home, and then take Carrie to work, pick me up. So when this happened, it happened on everything was all falling apart. Called in a friend of mine saying, hey, Carrie set this driver up, because we looked at it real quick. We looked at cars. We sat down, went through all the facts, went online. I was like, she found the car she liked. It was a toss-up between two of them. And I said, the only thing I really don't like is about your Saturn is I have to sit down in the vehicle, right? I have to actually get into the vehicle by lowering myself into it.
And
If you look at what's that?
So whereas your wife has to step up.
Yeah.
She has a little step stool, and you have to fall down into it because you're.
Well, the car is low to the ground. It's more for her than me, and I accept that. But I said, can we get something where I don't have to sit down into? Yeah. Well, I'm not tall, but I didn't want
You're
to.
the same height as me. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm so. Oh,
but
scoops down so far.
The car's just low to the ground.
It's probably because you're so inflexible from your years of doing your hard style karate, where you guys don't stretch. You guys are not.
You're right.
stretchy.
Absolutely right.
You guys are so not stretchy. I think your wife is the only one who's stretchy.
No, yeah, she can do the splits. Yes, she can.
Oh, that's enough.
Right.
That's enough. Stop making
Alrighty.
me making it.
So anyway, calling a favor. She found the car. It was between two of them, that and a Ford Fiesta, I think. And I'm like, oh,
Right.
that's too small, right?
I like a small car. I gotta be honest.
That's great. That's you. I mean, for all the gear that you haul
Ford
around, I can't
Fiesta
believe that.
looks like a
I
roller
know, I
skate.
do.
That
I
car
do.
is
Yeah,
too tiny.
It does. But
I do carry around a lot of stuff. You're right, Ronz. I do carry
You're right, and
Just
I
in your
can't
trunk?
see. Well, how can you, your swords, your bow, your canes,
It fits.
right?
They fit.
Yeah. Okay.
I like a
But
small car. I don't know.
no, everybody's different. But I wanted something that. Whenever we talked about getting a new car or a used car, she always wanted this Subaru Outback. That's
I
all
don't
she
blame
wanted.
her. I don't
So
blame her.
So she
why
finally found one.
wouldn't you consider getting a brand new one?
Yeah, this is
This
this
is
is
my-
the whole big
You know,
question.
that's a very good question, and the answer is you can't afford it. We could.
No,
Oh,
wait a minute. Hold on. Wait. Okay, hold on. Go ahead, Swan.
So
Go ahead. And then I'll go.
I, as a young person, lived with my parents in Detroit, mind you, who had
Wait a
that
minute.
mentality.
Hold on.
Yes, they
Hold
lived
on.
in
As a
Detroit. I grew
child.
up in Detroit.
No,
Yep,
hold
we
on.
know
Wait a
this.
minute. So hold on. As a child, you lived with your parents?
I did in Detroit.
Such a radical concept that you
I know,
as a
but
small child, as a child.
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead.
So I always remember them always having car problems, and they always would get like, "Oh, our car's broke down. We need to get it fixed. We need to get it fixed." And then they would go out and they would buy another piece of shit used car that got them from point A to point B for a couple months before it started having another problem. So when I was in high school, for my first 2 or 3 years of school, I worked my ass off, saved my money, and I was like, I'm buying a brand, as soon as I can drive, I'm buying a brand new car. And they're like, you don't want to do that. That costs so much money. I'm like, okay, but see, I've watched you guys have your piece of shit breakdown car for so
Piece of
long.
shit car.
Stop
I
interrupting
got
my
a piece of
story.
shit car.
That
Okay,
I
go ahead.
want to have enough money to make my car payment, to put a big payment down on it, and then pay a small car payment to have a brand new car with no problems. It's under warranty. It has no problems.
That's fantastic. I totally agree with that. But for some of us, we don't have that type of
Wait,
funds.
but you do.
He was a child.
I was
Her parents
fucking
were way
16.
her parents were poor, dude. The Swan came from the fucking ghetto, basically.
Listen, I'm not disputing that.
So did you even consider getting a new car? Did you look?
Yeah.
Because right now, Subaru, your Outback that you want to buy, you can go online, look it up. They have 1.9% financing, so that's dirt ass cheap. You can put zero down and your car payment will be $200 a month to have the car you wanted brand new under fucking warranty. And I know when I got my Subaru years ago, they gave me like $19 oil changes for the life of my car. And a loaner when you went into the dealership to get your oil change.
And you're not going to need that warranty on a brand new Subaru.
Whereas your car, day one, lights came on.
Yeah, so here's the thing with that. Oh, so here, let me say this.
Ronz is frozen.
No, I'm listening.
Okay.
Here's what, and this is what I'm going to throw out another compliment. It's going to be a dual-edged. It's a dual-edged sword, Ronz. I wield a.
Thank you.
You know that after all these years of knowing me and my skill set as a scholar of l'art armamentari, my sword is dual-edged.
Yes.
Of course it is.
Here it is. You do not give yourself enough credit. You are not breaking the mindset that you are worth it, my friend.
I totally agree with you.
You are fucking worth it. And let me tell you this. You could have got that brand new car, but here's what I feel. This is what I fear happened. I fear that you didn't look into it very deeply.
You're right. I did.
Because immediately in your mind, you said to yourself, I can't afford it. And
You're
let me tell you,
right.
And let me tell you something, you can afford it because you're spending more money on your broke ass shit than you would on a new thing. And you could have, honestly, if you were super worried about it, you could have leased it and you would have spent the same amount of money that you spent by paying cash for something over your 3 years. So I feel my biggest fear for you and a lot of people that I come in contact with, and this is and I understand why it happens, but you have to break that cycle and realize that you are worth it. You want a new fucking car, getting a fucking new car, dude. You're worth it. Lil Part of Donut's worth it. RJ's worth it.
Yeah, I think she is.
You just need to fucking do it. You guys need to break that mindset because it's not true. It's not true. You don't have to take this bullshit freaking piece of shit car. You don't need a piece of shit car that doesn't get you very far.
Yeah, and if you had a brand new one, you could have that brand new one for 15 years before you even have to put anything into it, because getting a Subaru, that's a good ass vehicle. You know it's going to be good. But 15 years later, it might start to have problems, which is normal maintenance of a car, which you're seeing right now. But you should have did it. You
And-
should have did it, Ronz.
I should have did it.
Look
Done
at
shoulda
it for
done it.
real. Like, I mean, when we were looking at the boy's car, getting him a car, I suggested that, and he got a great deal on his car. He got 0% financing. He put all of his saved $5,000 or whatever we had saved for a car. Like, we could go buy a $5,000 car, but I bet you $1 million if we would have had to done that, we'd have been paying money on that car by now, or it would have been a piece of shit by now. But instead,
Yeah, and
he
owns
has
it.
a paid
And
off
he owns it.
brand new car that he paid less than $200 a month for a payment for, that has never had a problem.
And I think that's you hit it right on the head. Some of us don't think we're worth that, and you could be right. I agree. However, on that note, some of us are in a bind so bad that we got to move as fast as we can to get to that vehicle.
But you could have got a brand new car that same day.
I'm not disputing you. I'm not saying you're wrong at all. I am not saying, I'm not going to argue that point. It's just that right now we had to move as quick as we did because Carrie was stressed out. I was stressed out.
But now you're still stressed out.
No,
we're
not.
You're not stressed out anymore? Okay. So resolution of the problem happened?
So she took it in. They couldn't find anything wrong with it. So Carrie came up with a great solution, which why not take it to a Subaru dealership and have them look at it? It's still under warranty.
But no, it's still late by then. What's the lemon law?
Still,
how long does the lemon law protect you?
The lemon law does not apply to this because it's an older vehicle. All right. So I'm not going to get into the semantics, but this is what Carrie wants.
I don't think it. Okay.
And it's because that's what she wants. She's going to get it, right?
Okay. What if you take it to the Subaru dealer and they straight up tell you, yeah, okay, this is an existing problem. Clearly, all they did was hook it up to their little handheld computer because my dad has one.
Mm-hmm.
All they have to do is hook it up. All they have to do is hook it up and reset the light. Then when they tell you there's nothing wrong with it, you take it. What if you take it to the Subaru dealer and they're like, you guys are fucked?
Well, then we'll take it back to them.
And will they return it at this point?
They should.
So here's my suggestion to you.
My
suggestion to you. Because once again, I'm going to tell you straight up that you guys are worth it. Just do it. You don't have to get the same exact one because the one she wants is fucking expensive, I'm assuming. But they've got some sweet little ones.
The little Impreza?
They've got sweet. That thing is. And let me tell you something, my friend. You will not get stuck in the snow if you've got a Subaru, even the little one that tears the snow up. So the Swan got stuck one time, and it was because she didn't have much of a running start. She pulled right out of the garage, and the snow was up past her ground clearance.
It bottomed out, yeah.
Yeah, but any other time,
bottomed out.
But my Escape got stuck also, and it was higher. So the Subaru does not get stuck. It tears up the snow like a motherfucker. Anyway, the point is.
So what happened to your vehicle?
What I would say to you is, they can really consider this when you go to a Subaru dealer. If you can actually take that car back, if you could really take that car back, tell yourself, you know what? She's worth it, man. I'm worth it. We can afford a Subaru. If the Subaru dealers, that dealership in Kalamazoo, some of the nicest fucking people.
Yep.
Very cool. So if you go in there and they say, hey, you ask them straight up, like, okay, is this worth it? Should I take this car back? If they say, you know what, dude, I don't know. Maybe not a great deal. Go talk to a Subaru dealer. They will get you a brand new fucking car. And it will not be expensive. Here I am, just totally supporting Subaru and the dealership in Kalamazoo, which I did not say by name, but you know who you are if you're listening. I love a Subaru. I do
too. So what happened to my Subaru? I had it for like 7 years, and I decided I wanted a new car. That's like honestly probably the longest time I've had a car because Swan likes new cars. Swan has had several cars, leased them, always had a brand new car. And I had that one the longest. And I honestly wish I would have never gotten rid of it because that would have probably still been fine.
Yeah. Well, I had people asking me too if she was going to sell it to let them know. And she was impatient. So she just went right to a dealer and got a different car.
Yeah. And I wish I didn't because I liked that car. Honestly, that was probably one of my favorite cars.
Forgive me for asking, and it kind of eluded my mind. What do you drive now?
You know what? I have a Jeep.
Oh, okay. So, no, that's why I said forgive me.
The Jeep is a brand.
Yeah, I have a Jeep Wrangler.
So, does the B-Man get to drive the Jeep because he likes to drive the Jeeps?
Yeah, she can drive my Jeep. He doesn't
really care too much for.
He doesn't really. Yeah, he can drive it. Yes, I don't have a problem with him driving it, but he
So how
prefers
have
his
you
car.
accessorized your Jeep?
I
She
haven't
hasn't,
really.
that's why I
I
said.
have.
She hasn't. She won't even take it off road. She won't take it.
I have taken. I got sweet tires. I do have sweet tires. The biggest tires you can get without adding lifts and all that other stuff, because then that's expensive and it ruins your gas mileage even more. But that's about it. I mean, my Jeep is pretty cool as it is. It's a pretty loaded model.
So you know about the hidden icon on it somewhere.
Yeah, I have. It has it on the cup holder and it has it on the mirror. So.
Oh, that's so cool. So you haven't bought like any accessories for it? So
I've tried to get her to. I've offered to get it to her for her birthday. No, we're talking
Not-
real one. I'm talking like big shit, and she's never taken me up on it.
Maybe.
Well, you know, like they make roll bar handles.
It has
So,
I
you
have
know-
those. And
So,
literally inside of my Jeep is pretty cool. It has a nice stereo. It has the extra speaker. It's got the padded.
You have a light bar?
No, I don't.
You need a light bar
Why do I need that? That makes it look.
to let everybody
Yay.
know you're coming down the road.
No, I don't like-
Yeah, I agree.
No, I want to
agree.
get like LED lights for it because mine are just the regular lights, but and maybe like cool bumpers, but that's probably about
So
it.
you can pull up to your bumper. So do you got like for the seats you know, like a backpack that hangs over them?
No, why would I need that?
Oh, you need those.
No.
Have you ever gone on any Jeep catalog sites and looked at the accessories?
Yeah, there's a butt ton of them. I want like the tail light covers because those look.
She wants
cool.
she wants the big stuff, not the piddly stuff. She
Yeah.
wants like the cool, you know, like the
Like
super,
like the cool
not like not
grill.
stuff that comes off. The stuff that cool,
Like-
yeah, like that.
Well, I could see you wearing or having a light bar either in the grill or on top. No, but you don't off road, so
I don't need a
No,
light.
she'd be one of those persons who gets all that stuff but never takes the Jeep off road, which is stupid.
I took the doors and not the doors, the top off last year. I got hooks
Yeah,
for the doors. It was more than once, but yeah.
So you have a hard top and a soft top for it.
I don't have a soft top. I just took it off and drove it with nothing on it.
Wow, so you went topless. That was cool.
Hilarious.
So did you enjoy it?
No.
No, she didn't. It's a total waste of time for her to have a Jeep. She's like she's like so many women out there that decide that that's why Jeeps have become girl vehicles.
Grocery
That's what
getters.
they've become. That's
No.
what they've become.
Oh.
Because they don't accessorize them. They refuse to take them off road. They won't get them dirty. It's just bullshit. And then they get these big tires on them. I'm like, oh, sweet. Now you can take that off road. Oh no, it's just for aesthetics. That's fucking stupid.
You go down
Get
to
a
the
Jeep.
beach.
Get a Jeep for a reason.
Yeah,
And
go
you
down
don't
to
have
the-
it. And it has removable, has that like removable carpeting and all that stuff. I'm like, I'd take all that shit out.
Yeah,
Like, you don't need carpeting in a fucking Jeep.
You
I mean,
do
like,
so
that
it
just goes
stays
to show-
warm and
No,
it doesn't
It just
sound
goes
noisy.
to show. It just goes to show that it just goes to show you are not using a Jeep for what.
when you go down to Lake Michigan, people drive their Jeeps without their tops on, no doors. They love showing them off. They really do. They circle. They're like 20 different parking spots. They don't want to park. They just want to go in a circle and show everybody the Jeep that they're driving. That's about it.
Yeah, but are they taking them off road either? That sounds like another people that are not
Well,
taking them off road either.
You know, some have dirt on them,
Jeeps
so
were
I'm
meant
thinking
for
they
mud.
don't.
Jeeps
Oh, they were. Right, especially those that get the snorkel on it, that so they don't get water in the engine or something like that.
Absolutely. So let me tell you about the mindset, though, Ronz.
Oh, the mindset, please.
So my Volt just died in the driveway. It just wouldn't go anywhere. So I'm like, it's got to be. So I, what is it? Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, what happened? You're going to tell me, of course. So I'll just keep quiet. I'm sorry.
That might have been why I was starting the story. It could be that I was actually going to tell you what happened. It's very possible. Anyway, so I backed out of the driveway, turned around, and it died right in the driveway. Just completely shut down, except for the console. So I have an electric hybrid, so it runs on electricity and gas. But of course, it goes electric the first, whatever. But it wouldn't. I couldn't even get it to shut off. In other words, I couldn't get the console to shut off. The engine itself was shut off. It wouldn't even do anything. Finally, get it shut off. Pushed into the driveway. Plugged it back in, and it refused.
Pushed into the driveway sucked, by the way. Pushed into the driveway was an adventure. It was
It happened to
solid
be
fucking
icy.
ice. It was the driveway was solid fucking ice, and we couldn't get any traction. And then that car was
So-
so freaking heavy. It was terrible.
Question: having
Not heavy.
It's not heavy,
a
but it wouldn't
backyard
move.
mechanic mentality, could you jump the vehicle?
You can't do that to
All
that
right,
car
well,
anyway.
First of all,
Those
that's why I
cars
say that I
don't
have a
jump. Yeah,
backyard
no.
mechanic mentality here.
No, you can't jump that car. No.
Why couldn't you? Now, forgive me for asking you, but that's the first thing that I would come. And I'm sure my son.
Where are you gonna jump it? Where are you gonna jump it? If you open the hood, it's a giant battery. You can't jump that.
Oh,
You might
And
be
as I
able to hook
said-
it to some kind of charger thing, but not
And as
jump
I
it.
said-
Like,
Which is what we did.
yeah,
And it won't accept a charge anyway, as I was saying. So I'm assuming, and I don't know because I'm not a mechanic and I don't know anything about electric vehicles, but reading everything I read, I'm assuming that giant expensive battery that runs that car is dead.
yeah.
And so you're like, oh, well, that's not a big deal. How much does a battery cost? You know, what, $200 for a top of the line, die hard, whatever they are, battery? No, this is the battery that runs the vehicle. This is that special battery. And that special battery, for that model of vehicle that I've seen, could be anywhere from $3,000 to $8,000. So that's probably not a great thing.
no. Did you see the guy? It was over in one of the Scandinavian countries who was going to be charged an exorbitant amount of money to replace his battery on his Tesla or something like that. So he said, fuck that, and he dynamited it.
No, but I did see there's this guy that I don't know if he still does. I imagine he does. He's probably pretty popular now, but there's this guy on YouTube that does all this work on Tesla, and he doesn't work for Tesla. It was just a hobby of his. So he rebuilds Teslas, and he rebuilt this one, and it needed a new battery, and so he called Tesla and said, "Hey, can I get a new battery for this?" And they're like, "They're not designed that way. We can't give you a new battery." So he just found another Tesla that was messed up for some other reason and took the battery out of that. And then now he was working. This was years ago.
Mhm.
And so he was basically hoping that all the work that he did would allow him to have his own Tesla repair shop. But of course, Tesla doesn't have those. But anyway, no. So this giant battery, but I was also looking and seeing that if it is my battery that's dead, thankfully, when those were made, Chevy guaranteed them for 8 years or 100,000 miles, whichever came first, obviously. And guess what? Mine is still under warranty. So I'm actually have my fingers crossed that is the actual problem. Because if that is the actual problem, yours truly is going to get a new battery. And then that will, I'm hoping, means that the life of that, if they get a new battery, obviously they're going to have to warranty that new battery also.
Do you think the cold zapped your battery?
I'm
No,
sure
you're
it
not.
didn't help, but
It didn't help, but it's not accepting. But now it's not accepting a charge. So if it's not accepting a charge, and if you can actually hit the console, and the console will tell me how many miles are left on my charge, and it says like 27 miles, but now the car won't charge. So in other words, even though I plug it into the wall, it doesn't even charge now. See, I get this little green light on my dash, and it makes a little chirp that says, "Hey, I'm charging." But now the console itself, when you pull it up, says you can't. The car won't charge.
So in this day of information and technology, did you go online to see what and why this might be happening?
I think I just told
yeah,
you
we're
that.
hoping it's the battery. That's what
It's the battery.
Oh, no, I understand that, but that's the first.
Yes, I went online and did a bunch of stuff to try to get it to start. It doesn't even do that. Like there's all kinds
Well,
of these
Like
weird,
reset.
goofy things that people did. Yeah, but it's not going to do anything. It's totally dead. It won't. It is non-functional. So I'm just playing the waiting game till I
And
get my car.
probably they want you to go online and fuck with it, so that voids your warranty. So hence,
Yeah.
we're not going to go online and fuck with it.
Nope, we're just gonna wait. We got one vehicle. We're both working from home. It doesn't really bother us that much. It's fine.
And I think that's the advantage that you have versus that Little Powder Donut and I don't have. We have to be out of the house. We have to go to the place where we work.
Yes, But what I'm also saying though is that you went the complete opposite. Now this is what I'm going to explain to you now, and this is why you deserve better. Are you ready?
Yes, he's ready.
Yeah.
He's ready to be
Okay.
enlightened.
Here is the question that I asked Swan, and I'll tell you why I asked her the question. So I said to Swan, I said, so, my car's dead, Swan. I just want to know that when you realized my car was dead, was there any thoughts that went through your head right away when you realized my car was dead? And what?
Now would be a good time for me to buy a new car. Like, oh, then we could have another car because I'm thinking ahead. Baby Swan is going to be driving soon. We could get a third car, which would be a new car for the two of us, and then we could fix the Volt, and eventually that could be Baby Swan's car. Or if it can't be fixed, then at least we have two new cars. Two functioning good cars. Like immediately I did think, here's a good time to get a new car.
So you see that difference in that thought process, Ronz? Immediately, the Swan was like, oh, I'll just go buy another car.
And it's not that, oh, I have a butt ton of money sitting around that I'm just going to say, here's a new car. But I just think logically for me, I don't want to waste my time trying to figure out how to afford something that might be just another problem. I just want a brand new something that's not going to have a problem.
And I won't deny that. I think it might be a middle class mentality or a lower class mentality.
You just heard.
No. I'm not denying that you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong at all. In fact, I think you're right.
Mentality. I want to be the opposite of that.
I know. I'm not saying you. I'm saying most of society does, right? Or some of society, right? And I'm one of them. I totally admit there was a different route I could have taken if I would have just said, okay, let me think about this. But I had my back against the wall here, and I was stressed out. I wanted to make sure everything got done.
But how is your back against the wall going to be any different from getting a new car? It's the same back against the wall.
Well, once again, it's a mentality thing. I'm not denying you're wrong. I'm not.
So can
it's
I
just
take
my
He goes, I'm not denying that you're wrong.
It's one of those things where
unless you're
it's just
clever,
a mental state.
Unless you're being
clever, it's just a mental state. I didn't, Carrie was stressed out. I was stressed out. We didn't know our next move. Now I'm glad you thought about your next move. I'm really glad. I really wish I had the fortitude you did. Right. I would have probably said, okay. Right. So, but I didn't.
Can I make the appointment to go to the Subaru dealership with Little Powder Donut and you stay at home for that?
Well, we'll see what she wants to do.
Okay, ask Little Powder Donut because I would like to go to the dealership with Little Powder Donut when she goes in.
As long as you don't come home with a car.
Oh, Little Powder Donut and I are gonna be twinsies.
You're gonna be like, all right, this is what's gonna happen. She's gonna go to the dealership. She's gonna convince Little Powder Donut to get rid of the new used car, and she's also gonna talk to the dealer and be like, hey, here's the deal. Me and my friend are gonna buy brand new Subarus today. We'd like a deal because we're gonna give you the opportunity to sell 2 Subarus right now.
Yep. So Little Powder Donut, it's on. Let's do it.
But
Ronz, do you know what happened? I don't know if you want this one. It might actually work out to your benefit. But here's what happened once. I had an FJ Cruiser. Remember back when gas was like $4.50 a gallon?
Oh yeah.
I had an FJ Cruiser then, and I was working pretty far from home. And the Swan, I told the Swan, I'm like, we got to get rid of the FJ Cruiser. And what was that when you had the Subaru?
I think.
Yeah,
I think
that's
so.
when you had the Subaru.
Yep.
And so Swan's like, okay, so we need a new car. We need a new car.
That is what I.
She says, you need a new car. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and I think it was me who said, I'm thinking I should get a Toyota. They've got some pretty nice Toyotas. They're dependable cars. It's going to last forever. I'm going to get good gas mileage. So I pick out a Toyota Camry, a really cool one with like this cool kind of iridescent, not iridescent, but this color that looks blue, but it looks black, but it looks whatever. And so Swan goes to the dealership also, and I don't know what transpired, Ron. I'm not sure what happened. So do you want to fill Ron's in on what happened?
Swan magic happened. So
And this was a guy who was the guy that I had hooked up with. I used to work with his wife, and he's not an actual salesman. He's like a manager or something. He's probably even bigger than that now if he's at the same dealership. But so he wasn't an actual salesman, but that's who I hooked up with, and he was going to help us out. So then Swan goes. I don't know what happened. Go ahead, tell us what happened.
So what happened was we must have met because we had both cars there. Because my Subaru was there and your FJ Cruiser was there. And they're like, oh yeah, we really want this FJ Cruiser because they're in demand and people want the used vehicle. I'm like, well, how about my Subaru? Those are in demand too. So they assessed both vehicles and said, we'll give you this much trade-in value, do whatever. And ended up looking at other things. So we were test driving his Camry. And I was like, oh, I kind of like this car, so I'm going to test drive that too. Let's see what we can do and how much money you can give us for our vehicles. If it's worth a trade-in, we'll consider getting 2 vehicles. So meanwhile, their salesmen are like, yay, look at these people. But I feel like we got a pretty good deal, and we got 2 brand new. We got a really good deal on 2 brand new cars.
Yeah, because my car payment for the FJ was a lot less. It was a lot more than the 2 cars, so we actually didn't end up paying that much. So.
Yeah, so 2 brand new vehicles by trading in.
So what I'm saying is, Ronz, if the Swan goes with Lil Powder Donut, there's a good chance you'll come. Your wife will come back with a brand new car, but then so will the Swan.
It could work out for all of us. The world will be a better place.
I don't know that that's going to work out for us so much, but.
Well, what kind of vehicle would you like her to come home with, B-Man?
I wouldn't, because
I'm gonna
she
get.
has a vehicle.
If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get the Subaru BRZ.
The one who's gonna be out of a vehicle is me. The Swan has a vehicle. Mine's already promised to Baby Swan, and I'm almost 100% sure that it's the battery. I'm gonna get a battery replacement, and then she's gonna get a better car than I got when I bought it, because she's gonna have a brand new freaking battery, and my car is really nice. And so if that's the case, the person who's going to be out of a car is me, which is fine. Cause I even said, I'm like, it's okay if I don't have a car. Because if I want to, I can, why do you keep interrupting me? I'm talking.
Sorry. It's what I do.
Because I said, if I need the car, I can always borrow it from Baby Swan, or I can borrow it from Swan. I don't really need a car. Now you may talk, Swan.
So Lil Powder Donut and I are totally going to we're going to go look at new cars. We're going to get new cars. Look at new cars and work on seeing if your current vehicle is worth saving. But yeah, Lil Powder Donut, I got your back.
Yeah, I say fuck it, Ronz. I say fuck it and take that car back and then somehow drive it up that person's ass.
Yeah, and let me and Lil Powder Donut have our moment.
Well, it's her vehicle. It's what she wanted.
I bet you I can change her mind.
You got to change that mindset. You got to kaboom it.
Yeah, kaboom. Lil Powder Donut.
If she goes, I guarantee you, you take her to a brand new Subaru dealership and she looks at that and falls in love. She'll be like, oh, look at that cute little Impreza.
Or the Crosstrek. That thing is badass too.
Look at this awesome Forester.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this badass Outback.
Well, long story short on one thing is that when she took it in, my mother, loaned us her car for a couple of days, which was really cool. And that car was super scary because it's a nice car. It was like yours. It was an electric hybrid. And when that thing goes to a red light, comes to a complete stop, it shuts off. You step on the gas to start it. And I'm old school. When your car shut off at a stoplight, it means you got out and pushed it.
Oh, he freaked out at the car.
I did.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, mine doesn't do that, thankfully. I don't like those.
You can turn that feature
off
as well.
It does save on gas. It really does. But
oh, yeah, it does. It's just one of those things where it's so quiet. Right?
But that's the way mine is. Mine's nice and quiet, and I like mine quite a bit. I'm hoping everything we get good news and get a new battery and get it all straightened out.
So
all ready to go for the Baby Swan.
So thinking pessimistically here, what if it's not good news? What do you do then?
Swan
Well,
gets
if
a
it's
new
not good
car.
news, it's still not going to cost that much. It's not going to cost the cost of if I was over 100,000 miles or 8 years and they said, "Hey, your battery needs to be replaced." I would probably sell the car. Because I'm not going to spend $3,000 on a battery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd rather sell the car and then I would get a new car. And then I'd have to find another car for Baby Swan. Or she could share mine until she graduates. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's either going to be something simple, like they have to do a reset, or they're going to say, worst case scenario, it's my battery. But I've already talked with them and I've already checked online that my battery is 100% covered because I haven't hit 100,000 miles and I haven't hit 8 years. So it's covered by Chevy, by GM. So I'm good to go on that respect if that's what it is. I'm not worried.
That's great. I mean,
I'm not worried.
So
I just think that it's funny that it's not funny. I just want you guys to change that mindset because you're worth it. I'm just telling you that because the other thing is if I mean how sad is this? It's not sad, but I mean because no offense, I don't like your car. It's not cool. Anyway, and as a 21-year-old male, I'm thinking back if my parents had said, "Hey, for your 25th birthday, it's a big deal. You get the Saturn." I'd be like, is this what my life has become? Is this the route? Is this the direction or the trajectory that my life is going to be where I get excited at the age of 21 to get this car? Is that it?
Like, what's RJ's dream car?
It's not like at the age of 21, somebody said to me, "Hey, I'm going to give you this Buick Grand National." And I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, you are." No, you're saying, "I'm going to give you my Saturn that just threw a rod. Have fun spending thousands of dollars getting this thing up and running." Happy birthday. Let's have a beer.
Definitely happy birthday. No, I'm listening to all this. It, like I said, it was a lot absorbing it hit all in one weekend and trying to move past that real quick
I still feel like you really should. I know it's stupid because it's a Saturday Night Live bit with old Stuart Smalley, or was that Mad TV? Which one was it? Was it Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, no, you're like Stuart Small. Yeah, Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
That was.
You guys need to look in the mirror. Yeah, you guys need to look in the mirror and go, you know what? I am good enough.
I'm smart enough. And darn it, people like me.
You've got a fan base, Ronz. You've got to break that mentality because if you don't break that mentality, you know what? This podcast won't go anywhere because you don't believe in success.
You're right. I don't. In fact,
but you know who believes in your success?
Santa Claus.
The Beeb.
I'm going to say the Beeb Man.
The Beeb Man does.
And I thought about that mentality this weekend because I was thinking, why don't I? How do I defeat myself in being successful? And the thing is, doing a hard look at myself as I try to move forward. I'm like, I really want to be successful. When I first came onto the podcast, I was all for it and everything. And I thought, how do I move forward? How do I make this, no one wants to work forever at what they do unless it's a passion. Right? And I don't mind working where I work. I work with a great team. I got great money. I would just like to wake up one day, have a cup of coffee, and I think I'll podcast and make $1 million today.
Yeah, so go for it. I mean, why don't think little, think big. It's like that whole go big or go home. If you're not going to put everything into it, then why do it? Like, you might as well just go for it. Like, I mean, look how you got Little Powder Donut. You must have went out on a limb there because,
I was, she was, maybe in a drunken fueled state that
okay, let's not. Let's just go with that as a big accomplishment. You decided to go for it.
Yeah, and the other thing is, with the death of certain comedians this week, I'm like, how they never actually retired.
Yeah, young. He was young.
Bob Saget. Yeah, you're right. How this guy never really faded from obscurity, but he was obscure, right? Because you look at what he did for family comedy, But then when you listen to his routines out there,
It's nothing like family. Yeah, it's
nothing like that. You're
nothing
like,
family. Like, yeah,
it's
when
like,
people think of the people that think of Bob Saget as in Full House, I'm like, no, that's not Bob Saget. That's
yeah.
him. That's him playing a role. He's fucking funny as shit. No.
And the late great Betty White was the same way, because when you looked at her, how she played her characters up, and it's like, that's great. How do I become like
Interesting
them, these
segue.
guys?
Interesting segue. Yeah, because this is what you need to do, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you part of the reason why we're not super successful. Part of the reason why we're not super successful is my fault, and
Well,
I
I figured
hate
it was
to.
my fonts. And my grammar.
That is horrible. No, part of the reason why is because if I'm the producer and I'm the one marketer and all this other stuff, the sad thing is that it's a medical. It's kind of a medical excuse, but it's true. If I'm not actively doing something that I have to do, I'm exhausted. And I refuse to take medicine to make me not be exhausted. Now, if I took that medicine, I would be able to accomplish so much more. And I really have been battling whether or not I should do it for the past, I don't know, year. Because when I do take the medicine, I actually am more productive and I actually am not exhausted all the time and I'm probably more fun. But I don't like taking a medicine that makes my heart rate go up, and I don't like the long-term risk that maybe I'm actually doing damage to myself. But I also have to look at the fact and say, yeah, but am I living the best life that I would live now? And
Well,
I
the other thing
don't
is,
think I am. I don't think I am.
and you know, I don't know about your medical condition too much, but I'll agree with you or disagree with you on that. But how often do we sabotage our own selves when we think we're funny? Like when I was writing the headlines
For you all the time. I mean,
oh, okay. But when I was writing the headlines and making grammatical errors, right, and on the posts I would make,
I love it now that he's trying to say that he made grammatical errors to be funny. When we know straight up that it wasn't just that he spelled a word wrong. It was complete
you know what,
sentence
Ed,
structure and trying to make a point.
Even so, when I would have Carrie, Little Power Donut, go back and read them, she would laugh. And I'm like, what are you laughing at? She says, did you read what you wrote? I'm like, well, yeah, I wrote it like this. And then I would go back and I'm like, oh my God, that's not how I meant that. It's like that. And it's like, she goes, I said, no, I see why B-Man's pissed because it's this way, but it's not that way. Maybe I should go back. She says, don't change a thing. I'm like, why? Because it's hilarious. Your screw ups are hilarious. And I'm like, okay. And that time where you pointed out the grammatical error of the, and I'm like, I don't get it.
Because you didn't,
and
you read it so many times the correct way.
But
it
goes along that.
Your brain corrects it.
Yeah. And it went along that line. And I'm like, I don't get it. And, you know, to anybody else, they're laughing their ass off. To you, you know, it's basically you're pissed off because I got a grammatical error. If you had left that alone, just left it alone and let it be, would that have been funnier than just trying to sabotage the moment of saying you're not funny? And that's where we're at sometimes. You know, we think we're funny and we sabotage our own desire to be funny or our own desire to get ahead. And that's what I was thinking about this weekend. How do I get ahead without sabotaging myself? Am I afraid of success?
Yes.
Am I afraid to push myself forward out into the limelight? And every time I do, actually, I get sabotaged by you guys sometimes because I want more people to notice us, right? I want them to notice me and then therefore notice you or notice the podcast. You're like, so I'm like, hey, what if we did it this way? You're like, no. And I often think, is that just a form of sabotage that the B-Man doesn't want to be that successful? I know you want to branch out our base, but I always said it starts locally, right? And if we trade comments or we trade guests or whatever have you, or we trade listeners from local, that's how it grows. But you're like, no, I want to go international. All right. And I'm like, let's reach out to people. You're like, no, let's not reach out to people. Okay, let's reach out to Joe. I'm going to take a vaccine from my veterinarian guy. No, because he'll probably sue us. So how often do you sabotage yourself? And I sabotage myself to be successful.
I want to see 7 Minute Mile Ron. Because 7 Minute Mile Ron was fucking confident as hell that he was going to run that. Like, where's that on the rest of your life? Like, go there because you deserve to be bigger than you are. So, not saying be an asshole, but 7-minute mile Ron was pretty fucking confident that he was going to run that mile. So
yeah, and that donut didn't hurt either. I mean, noticing that I had a donut at the end was great.
Yeah. I mean, that's the reward right there.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, I will say this then, Ron. Here's what you can do. If you want to do whatever you want to do to promote the podcast, you go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
All right. If you feel like in order to promote the podcast, you need to be a guest on other people's podcasts, I've never told you couldn't do that. Obviously, you can do that.
No. I'm not. Yeah, no.
If you want
really
to have,
want to push
if you want people to come on the podcast, well, there's certain rules that we have to follow for that. Like, for one, I have to agree that they can be on the podcast. Two, they have to realize that they're not a guest. In other words, we're not going to do a guest interview. That's not what we do. We don't do that. Yeah, random questions, sure. You know, I'll ask them random questions like, "Do you look at your poop after you've taken a poop?" You know, and stuff like that. You know, if we have guests on, just like we've had them in the past. They're engaging as a member of the cast. We're not doing this focus thing where we're.
Oh yeah, and you know, on that note, we don't want a little powder donut incident where it's like you don't say anything, or you keep your conversation short.
Yeah. No, but we can always have people on. Whatever you want to do to promote the podcast. And you're right. And the reason, did you ever think, has it ever occurred to you that maybe I'm using reverse psychology on you? Has that ever occurred to you?
Oh, the way,
No, he's going to go analyze everything you say to him.
Yeah, now I'm going to go re-listen to podcasts. So like,
has it ever occurred to you that I am telling you not to bust your butt to promote the podcast, but you actually promote it more when I tell you that?
Well, you know, I never thought about it like that. You know,
I mean, do you really think that I don't want you to promote the podcast?
You don't want me to promote it to certain people as far as, you know, because you want to branch out.
I've only been doing this to you to protect you, because you have to realize if you promote it to people and then you say something that offends them, then you have a direct contact with those people.
Well, yeah, but you're also the one that taught me. It's like, fuck it. It's not your podcast. It's mine. And I'll say whatever I want to say it. And you tell our guests whenever they come on, feel free to interrupt, swear if you want to, say whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, know your audience. You know
your audience, and on top of that,
and there's enough warnings on the podcast anyway. It says explicit when you pull it up.
I mean, when my son came on and he said butt plugs for everybody, I'm like, wow, that was just wild.
Yes, he did a great job actually, but
oh yeah,
no. So the biggest message is don't fear your success. Don't fear your success. You deserve it. You can do it. Do whatever you want to do. Make the podcast successful. I'm here. When I look at some of the podcasts that are successful out there, I was kind of surprised. The Morbid one is really successful. They do a great job. Shout out to Morbid if you're listening. But I guess they've only been doing it for 4 years, and they are wildly successful, which is great. And of course, my favorite podcast, Last Podcast on the Left. Please feel free to reach out to us, and we'd like to be a part of your. We would like to be a part of your network. Actually, that'd be sweet.
I would like to hear. Let's say, because usually most comedy clubs do that when you're first starting out, is a 3-minute comedy routine from you. Right? You want to be a comedian. I totally agree and support you. I'd like to hear a 3-minute comedian routine from you at some point.
I think I can do it.
Yeah.
I will make this promise to the listeners that I will comply with the Ronz. I will write a 3-minute routine. I will practice it. What you guys have to understand is when I do it, you can't interrupt me like you guys did last time.
Yeah, Ron, no heckling.
I understand that.
So, also, I want to say, like, we just told everybody to, like, go big or go home and basically don't sell yourself short. We're not saying go out and rack up, like, $4 million of debt. We're just saying...
No, you're right, Swan. Because there's that reverse mindset.
That's absolutely correct.
There's that reverse mindset of which we also don't want. We don't want people who can't afford things to decide, oh, I'm worth it. and then just go be in debt. That's also a horrible.
You know, and I think that's also where we stood too.
No,
but that's not you.
That's not you. You just dramatically increased your income by you working, and you have a good job that you deserve to have a reliable vehicle, and you deserve to make something to.
Yeah, and you're responsible.
You're not going to go buy a Ferrari. You're going to go buy a practical, good quality, good vehicle so that you can get to point A and point B and not have to worry about it. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, you're not gonna be that person that goes out and buys a brand new car, but also applies for 4 different credit cards because they're in credit card debt already. So let's buy a credit card to help me get out of credit card debt, and then files for bankruptcy in like 2 years and ruins their credit and does it over and over again. And that's the type of trend that they're setting, and that's the trajectory their whole family is going to continue to follow. That's Swan's family right there, not the majority of her family, the small microcosm of her family that is her immediate family. That's their mentality.
Like, get a pay loan advance so you can pay 50% interest to get your paycheck 2 days earlier. That's fucking stupid. We're not saying go make dumb decisions. We're just saying don't buy 20-ounce energy drinks from the gas station because that's a waste of fucking money. We're saying go do something practical and good for yourself that is going to better you.
You're saying go to the grocery store. Go to the grocery store and buy a 6-pack.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
If you're going to get it, budget your money well and do something good for yourself.
Well, you also let your background growing up dictate your future, and I did the same way.
Yeah, but
you could have you could have chosen to take that super successful route in your own mind, be successful in your mind, or you could have decided to be like that. She decided not to be like that.
Yeah, break the cycle, Ron. Change your mindset and go.
See what she did there?
I segued into
She just did the Cobra Kai. Let's work that title in.
Yeah, work that title. Break the cycle.
She worked that title in. Break the cycle, Ronz. Break the cycle. All right, well, that's it for me, the Beat Man, because I've got to get to work. I got to go to work. I got to commute. It's
from one chair to the other, the other side of the desk.
One side of the desk to the other. I got.
So, is this your work attire that you've got on? This looks great on you.
Yes, this is my work attire. Yeah, I got to probably go throw on some makeup though because I keep getting those bruises under my eyes from inverting. Interesting thing though. I don't know if anybody cares. I thought it was fun for me. I thought the baby swan would be excited for me, but she wasn't because she's kind of an asshole. But I was doing these. I was supposed to do as part of my workout routine. I was supposed to do a handstand against the wall. You know, you kick up and then you put your feet against the wall to stand there. Mm-hmm. And I kicked up and my feet didn't hit the wall, but I was in a handstand.
Whoa!
Yeah.
And I held it. And I was like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, you're getting some balance.
And I held it for quite a while, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And then finally, I just leaned back till I touched the wall.
I feel like maybe you just got that feeling. Is like when you get it right and it feels right, you're like, "Ooh, that center of gravity worked." Like kind of like when you practice whatever, and then all of a sudden it clicks for you that your body can do that. So maybe you'll be able to do it awesome from now on.
Yeah, it was pretty.
That's cool. Awesome. And by chance, what happens on Wednesday? Please refresh my memory.
What happens on what?
Wednesday.
Wednesday, what Wednesday?
Isn't it a certain famous person's birthday?
No, it's Tuesday.
It is.
It's probably some famous person's birthday.
Close enough.
It's Tuesday.
So, with that, before we leave, what are you getting for your birthday?
I'm taking the powdered donut shopping for a new.
Apparently Tuesday she's taking a little powdered donut to the Subaru dealer.
Yeah. I'm gonna text her now. Set it in stone. I'm actually off that day. Little powdered donut and I are going shopping.
All right. Well, that's it for me, the Beef Man. Before I go, I want the Ronz to say I'm worth it, not me.
I am worth it. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's it for me.
You mean it? Yeah.
Adios, mooch fuckos.
Bye from the Swan.
And from the Ronz, you guys are worth it.
You're worth it.
Hey, thank you. I am worth it. Thumbs up. There we go. Shelby the thumb. Yeah, there's the thumb.
He worked it in. Now he's got to work it out. Ayo!